All right, Kelly, big weekend for WWE. We're going to talk about SmackDown tonight, of course, because it's our normal Friday night SmackDown post show. But we're also going to talk a bit about the other events coming up this weekend. They hyped all three. More Saturday night's main event and Evolution, of course. But you are the host of PWT Talks NXT and Right TV Reports on NXT. So we'll talk about that lineup too. Let's start with just the job that you think they did in building up the Tiffany match at Evolution. Wade Barrett standing mid-ring says it's a dream match of sorts. And then they each, who are baby faces and popular, managed to do what I think Bayley and Lyra Valkyria did, which is kind of make us like them a little bit less, at least by the end of the segment, as they took little digs at each other. Not quite as bad as them, but I do question that a little, that approach a little bit, where they make you choose between baby faces and choose between heels, which seems to be a Paul Levesque specialty these days. And the delivery was a little clunky from both of them, which is normal. But at the same time, I like the staging of it, and framing of it is a big deal. And Barrett going, this is a bit of a dream match with the two generations. So yeah, I mean, what were the pros and cons for you?
Say that the way they tried to present this was really good. I just thought that the specific lines they were given were very bland. I think that they thought that they could carry this with one dig by each person, and the digs were okay. I mean,
VHS was good. The TikTok thing would have been better if we could understand Trish. She just can't enunciate.
Right,
yeah,
and
didn't enunciate.
Yeah, hers was much flatter, and I think that Tiffany did her line well. But when Tiffany's just trying to be a normal person in a babyface context, I think it's still a shoe that she doesn't quite fit into. I like her in general, but I tend to forget that she's champion at times, which isn't great. But I think that they tried some. I like what they tried with the presentation of this, making Wade go into the ring and everything like this.
Yeah,
but it just needed a much better script.
Yeah, and I mean, the script is one of them. It's clunky, but sometimes you can mask getting scripted lines if your delivery is smooth. And it's just Tiffany's vocals still, I would say, could use a vocal coach. It's not everybody needs help with things in their profession. This should not come across as an unfair dig. You get coached on you get expert help on all kinds of things when you're in a profession, when you ask people to pay to see you and follow you on social media and all that stuff, which is what WWE does with other performers. Trish, it's never been her strength. So when you put them both there, that is an inherent weakness, because they make the bad kind of corny scripting worse, or they can take a decent line. I thought the VHS line, I did pop for that. I thought that was a nice line and accurate. It made me think, how many VHSs do I have downstairs, and what does that say about me? Not too many actually anymore, but a few that didn't come out in DVD that I replaced. So yeah, I guess, is it important, and did they accomplish making you think that a title might change hands? I don't know how important that really is to get people to tune in. I don't think it's a zero factor, and you certainly want that to be the case. Most of the time that you do title matches have some semblance of doubt for the finish. So it's a bonus, but is this more just about the novelty of seeing Trish from one generation and Tiffany, and the idea of Trish winning the title is sort of like, I don't want to say an eye roll, but it's like, although I'm kind of rolling my eyes, it's like, it's not likely to happen, but it's sort of baked in, I guess, with today's fans. They kind of know it's more of a novelty match. Or do you think some people go, hey, Trish could win, and then SummerSlam is a rematch? I mean, that could happen too. So how do you think that they did in that aspect of it, and how important is it?
They don't know how important it is in the grand scheme of the show. It's clearly not what they think is carrying the show. So I guess that part of it's all right. You wouldn't want to do that every time, but I do understand why they're doing that at Evolution. Everything that Trish did for that particular division, I think I understand why on paper they thought that this would be decent, but they put her out there, and being on the mic was never her super strength, but she got okay at it just from a lot of reps in the Attitude Era. I mean, she was given so much practice, so she kind of was okay at that eventually.
Kind of okay.
Yeah, that
kinda
I'm
okay,
not.
Yeah.
Let me stop well short.
I don't I don't
It's
want to beat up on her. I just want to be
Dynamo.
honest. Like Trish seems
Yeah.
really nice and she was talented in the ring and stood out in her era. But I mean, I don't think she would claim that her vocals were her
Right.
strength or why she got a push or why people liked her. Yeah.
And I think it would be okay if somebody was in there who either could heel on her, and it would be a good, it would be a smart thing for them to heel on her, but just somebody in general who could really carry the feud on the mic for both people.
I liked the aspect of it, which is if I beat you, you have nothing. Trish told Tiffany, you're not going to be one of the goats and you won't be champion anymore. And I like Tiffany going, I need to beat you, or it'll help if I beat you with all the other people I've defeated. She listed several key names. If I can beat Charlotte and Bayley, and I mean, then if I beat you, I might be in the category of a GOAT. Now, I think from a babyface standpoint, given how early in her career she is, I would have scripted her or coached her, or she should have the instincts to say, I have many, many years to go before I should be in the conversation with you as a greatest of all time. But no one becomes a greatest of all time without defeating the greats of their era and sometimes those who preceded them. And you are one of them. And I respect the hell out of you. But when the bell rings, I'll respect you while I try to beat you, because if I beat you, I add to a list of names that I think puts me on course to someday be considered one of the greats. Like, I don't think it's that hard. Like, I just don't think you want Tiffany, who's already fighting kind of the headwind of, kind of like Bianca Belair. You're still doing essentially the same act you did when you were a heel, but you're just positioned and framed and talked about as a babyface. Like, just like be a little more nuanced and realistic about it. It seems arrogant and premature to give off the sense that you think beating Trish sort of puts you there. And I think her language left me with that impression. Did it with you, Kelly? And do you think she should show there should be some humility when somebody is so new going up against a legend like Trish?
So I feel very much the same way. And I think the audience did too. They didn't want to boo Tiffany, but as a result, because they couldn't cheer that because it was so audacious, they didn't respond at all. And the crowd really didn't respond to this segment much at all. I think they did. The idea of going out there with Wade, talking, like cutting promos on one another, was a good one and a good idea, but it just wasn't scripted well. It wasn't delivered well. Somebody in the chat said that it seemed like they weren't responding to each other. They were just talking past each other. And I guess that kind of makes sense. They were cutting promos as if the other wasn't really there. It just was. It was their last chance to put the best foot forward here. And I just thought that, I'm bummed because I've been following Tiffany for so long, because she was such a centerpiece of NXT for so long, that I want her to be farther along than this. But
talk about what you thought along the journey with Tiffany, where she did improve and where you wish she had improved more by now.
I thought that she improved really quickly in NXT. I thought when she came in, she was interesting on the mic and not so interesting in the ring. And she got to be interesting in the ring pretty quickly. She took to that very fast. But if her ring work went from a 3 to a 7 in super quick time, on the stick, she went from 4.5 to 5, and just kind of has plateaued there. And I don't know if there are people saying she's good enough there or what that is, but I don't know why. Okay. And Dwayne Carpenter in the chat says, I don't think that Tiffany has improved an inch since she turned face. She has stalled out in all eras. And then Brian Solorio said she was never a face in NXT, so I don't think she knows how to be a face. And that's one of the reasons that even if it feels ill-advised to take someone as popular as, let's just say Trick Williams, and turn him heel, they do that because they want to see, can the man work as a heel? We know that NXT audiences aren't going to accept that necessarily, but the national audience would. So let's see if he can do it. And sometimes they do that before their final form is ready and they move up.
CJ LaChapelle in chat says Tiffany got the championship too soon. What do you think about that? Should she, in order to put her in a position to be more embraced as a babyface, given her character as a heel is so cocky and she sort of looks like she was born on second base when it comes to getting a WWE job and a push with certain inherent traits, and fashion sense, presentation, makeup, all this stuff. She is able to put herself out there as she looks like a star, and she stands out in a way that a lot of other women who look athletic and beautiful and in a whole array of ways don't always have that kind of star power X factor that she does have, which can cause some resentment too with fans. They can go, wait, you got to earn it. And getting a title win in a meta sense can lead today's modern audience to go, oh, they're pushing her down our throats like the Roman Reigns stuff, as opposed to making people crave it and have her show she's improved and forge a bond with the fans and stand for something and then go on the chase. So do you agree with CJ's comment in the chat that one of the things working against her, and this isn't her fault, is she was booked to win the title too soon? I know a lot was going on with her character, along the way, so I don't know that they even had a master plan with her. But nevertheless, that's where we stand.
When she won the championship, I didn't think so. But now that we've seen the reign, I do think so. I think in retrospect says that it wasn't time for her. And especially if they were going to do it as a babyface, which is just so strange because she's been a heel for most of the run up to that. As a heel, it wouldn't have been so bad than if she had won it quickly, because it would, if people think it's unearned, then that's fine. But they made her a hero and then didn't give her a hero's journey. A babyface winning their first championship by cashing in is not an ideal way to win your first championship.
Sadler version 3 in the chat says Tiffany got forced into being a face by the fans without even doing much of anything so early after a call up. I don't even know if you can blame bad booking or Tiffany for that. So that's a factor. Kelly, a lot of other comments in the chat. I want to get to those and incorporate them, but I want to pause and introduce the show briefly here first. This is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Friday, July 11th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter, the website PWTorch.com, and the host of various podcasts, including the post shows that I host following Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. I also host a variety of VIP exclusive shows, which will include the AEW All-In post pay-per-view roundtable with Todd Martin and Rich Fan. That'll go up on Saturday night, so we'll have analysis of that stadium show. By the way, we ran a special pay-per-view preview episode roundtable with Eric Kroll and Rich Fan yesterday on the Blue feed. So if you're subscribed to our free podcast, that would be the Wade Keller podcast feed. This is the Wade Keller post show feed. One's red, one's blue. You guys know all that. So on the Blue feed, not only did we have the flagship on Tuesday with Rich Fan, but we did a thorough pay-per-view preview on Thursday with both Eric Kroll and Rich Fan. And then we included the Tony Khan Media Q&A that ran over 75 minutes, had some interesting comments about Britt Baker, ROH, Hangman Page's journey, and of course, a lot of talk about All In. So check that out if you haven't yet. Hit download, search Wade Keller on your podcast app if you haven't subscribed to our Blue Logo show, which is not on YouTube. So if you're discovering us on YouTube, we encourage you to subscribe to both the red feed and the blue feed because you might want to listen to this show in a podcast format. And the only way to get our main flagship and our interviews and our pay-per-view previews is with the Blue Logo show is on a podcast feed since they're not on YouTube. If you are on the podcast feed, you're invited to join us on YouTube live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then also on Tuesday nights on YouTube, our PWT Talks NXT show. And then after PLEs and pay-per-views, major events, Brandon LeClaire and Greg Parks, and sometimes both of them, host Wrestling Night in America with a live post-show format. That will be the case tomorrow after All In. Brandon LeClaire will be hosting the All In post-show right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. So check that out. Very early evening or late afternoon tomorrow whenever All In ends. Speaking of PWT Talks NXT, Kelly Wells, who has covered the NXT beat for PWTorch, really since episode 1 because of NXT 8 years back, You have in podcast format almost reviewed every single episode of NXT. Kelly, welcome to the Coast Chair. It's a pleasure to have you. We don't get to do shows together too often, but it worked out tonight.
I don't know why I have decided to cover the entirety of NXT, but here we are. Much of it's been fun. Much of it has not. No, it's always been fun to cover. It hasn't always been fun to watch. Let's put it that way. Sometimes when it's not good, it's really fun to cover. But it's just a weird time where I think some of the writing, some of the backstage stuff has been a little bit better on NXT than it has, and a little more cohesive than it has been on the main roster. But yes, I host PWT NXT as I have since the first episode, and I do NXT 8 Years Back with Tom Staup, and we are almost at the end of that because we are almost at the point where we get to where we started PWT Talks NXT. We're about 6 months away, so I will have covered every episode of it by then. So
then what happens?
You know,
do you do a rewatch?
Oh man,
I mean that'd be kind of fun. Let's see how they look then and where they go from here. I don't.
Like
we don't have to...
a rewatch of the stuff. Oh, I thought you were saying start over at the beginning.
No. I'm saying continue on even the shows that you cover. I know what something to ponder. I think that'd be cool.
I was afraid I was going to have to watch another 9-month Connor and Victor title reign.
No, we gotta keep the movie reviews coming and all that other stuff.
Oh, that part is very fun. That often goes longer than especially right now when we can't actually watch the older episodes because
I know, it's a bummer.
Shown anywhere. So
yeah,
we're talking about recaps and talking about what we remember because I watched every episode and Tom watched most of them.
Yes. So. Cool. Well, everybody search PWTorch on your podcast app to subscribe to PWT Talks NXT. That is available for free. It is part of the PWTorch Daily Cast lineup, a different show each day of the week. PWT Talks NXT, of course, posted on Tuesday nights on the podcast side of things. We need to update that logo. And also your in-house commercial. We got to get a fresh one of that too. I think we're like 7 years old on that one. I don't think we ever did update that. That's
it, and then it was outdated by the time I was going to send it to you. Yeah.
Yes. So let's get another one of those done. We're doing all kinds of in-house notes here as we do the show here. We need to update those in-house commercials across the board. That's on the to-do list. So everybody who's doing shows, I'll be emailing you guys. We got to refresh those. All right, but yeah, great shows. Wrestling Coast to Coast with Chris and Justin, the All Elite Conversation Club with Joel and Greg, the 90s Past Cast with Patrick and Alex, Javier with a mix of co-hosts with Acknowledging WWE, and as I noted too, Wrestling Night in America with either Brandon or Greg hosting, or sometimes both together. So yeah, search PWTorch in your podcast app and subscribe to that for free. VIP members, by the way, get an ad-free version of all these free shows that we're talking about. You can go VIP with a 7-day free trial through Patreon or Spotify. Search PWTorch VIP and check it out. You get a whole feed of all our VIP shows with the commercial breaks and the in-house commercials I just noted, edited out. And then you also get the VIP exclusive shows like Everything with Rich and Wade, The Fix with Todd Martin, NXT 8 Years Back, Alan Forel's Pro Wrest Paradise, Greg Parks Out Loud, Wade Keller Hotlines, Post Pay-Per-View Roundtables, and more. Full details on that, including an upgrade to a full VIP membership with full archive access and access to the Apple Podcast app, pwtorch.com/govip. That's the way you get all the information on all the different ways to sign up. You can sign up using your Apple account through your iPhone, credit card, debit card, or PayPal. And again, unlocking 35 plus years of archives is pretty cool, including unlocking full access to our podcast library, which is more than 20 years long, and hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s with big name guests. So we love your support, and we think you'll get a lot of value for your support of us through a membership. Okay. You can participate in our live post shows in the chat. So if you're watching us live on YouTube, search PWTorch or Wade Keller to find us on YouTube, by the way. And you can also email us, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. And then you can also be a VIP audio, and also, if you choose, video caller. And we do have some people on hold who we'll be getting to momentarily here to lead us through other topics and give their opinions. So to do that, you have to be a Patreon supporter through Patreon or Spotify, or a full VIP member. We include the link on our Patreon feed to be a video caller. It changes for each show. And we also include that in my TV report on the VIP website. Because I do cover with the written report Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll be covering All In tomorrow, and likely Saturday's main event and Evolution also, or somebody from the Torch staff will. There's so much going on this weekend. We're still working that all out. Kelly, are you on air here, committing to an Evolution post show live here on YouTube? Oh, hold on. Start that answer over. I had you muted. What's that?
Oh, you would ask me to do that
live on
the
well,
show.
If you can, if you're not sure yet, we'll say to be determined.
I think it's likely.
Okay.
But I have a bad habit of forgetting nighttime obligations, so I will
check your schedule.
I will check my schedule, and I believe I will probably be there.
I'll have some VIP content for me, and just stay tuned, people. We'll have notes on it, obviously, on the YouTube channel. If you see it scheduled, join us live after, for sure, All In with Brandon, and maybe Saturday's main event, maybe Evolution, and we'll have some NXT Great American Bash coverage one way or the other this weekend also. Okay. A lot of in-house talk here. Let's get to talk about SmackDown, well, and NXT, and Saturday's main event, Evolution, built into it. And let's do that with help from our... Oh, no, I was going to say go to callers, but I promised that we'd do some of these comments on Trish and Tiffany while it's fresh in our mind. So I'm going to throw some of these up here just to get, this was feedback while we were talking earlier, Kelly, and then some since then. Mark Pischetti said, Trish isn't the GOAT. The whole promo is a symptom that Triple H and his team are burning out. Quick comment for you, Kelly. Do you agree? Talking about the GOAT has, not just in WWE, but culturally become a little much.
It's exactly what I was going to say. It is just a fallback when somebody is good at something. It's too much, and I wish they would just make that somebody's nickname, and not just throw it on everyone when it was time for a legacy star to appear.
Yes. Derek Hubbard defends a match. He says it's a novelty match that matches up different generations. Evolution is the right show to host a match like this. A post-match handshake would be good for Tiffany. And I do want to say, I do believe that this is a cool match. I've defended it. I think gifting somebody a title match in general is not good. And you should earn it. And there's a built-in downside to just gifting someone a title shot. But they both champions got to do it. And I kind of like on an Evolution show, it is a novelty event. It is sort of built in that it's a bit of a tribute to women and how far the women's division in pro wrestling has come. It has come a long, long, long way. And I think having Tiffany choose Trish for the reasons she did works for me. I think it's a solid framing and justification for gifting someone a title shot as a one-off. Don't do this unless you do Evolution. I think you should earn title shots. I have some issues with Goldberg, for instance. I get it from a business perspective, but structurally, if this is real, I don't. So yeah, I think this is the right show. Kelly, any thoughts on
that? Similarly, I do think that this is the show where you can get away with a little bit of that. But it does make the show seem more haphazard than it already does. This was kind of hastily slapped together, it seemed. And you could say that, I think you could really argue that having them choose their opponents and not have that be determined in the ring or whatever is just proof that this show was really not given. It was really given the short shrift by the booking team. You're muted.
I always, as soon as someone tells me that, it flashes on the screen, as I'm sure we've all experienced as hosts. You get reminded of it with a big graphic in your face. Tiffany doesn't have a clue what being a babyface means, says Mark Pischetti. Sadler version 3 says, for such a big legend, Trish gets very underwhelming crowd responses consistently, which is odd. What do you think about that, by the way? Is it the fan base is younger? She's not as big of a star as WWE perhaps wisely frames her to be. I mean, it's fine to do it because she was the top of her era, but maybe that era isn't I mean, unless you're 14 at the time or something, it's not something people really romanticize.
Yeah, I think that's probably a large part of it. It was a very small division. I mean, she was always on top of the division, but honestly, when she was in the division, it normally had about 6 people in it at the very most at any given
Short
time.
matches.
Yep, short matches,
Yeah.
very small division, and you had your main babyface who was every other champion, and then everybody else like took turns having to be a challenger or a champion. So it wasn't a great time for the division, even though it was an important step forward to even be getting any time on TV. So it's not your, today's women's division is not your father's women's division.
Brock Bedingfield says Tiffany should definitely be a heel. CJ LaChapelle says, I'm getting feedback, by the way, Kelly, from your when I talk. I don't know if you have your headphones on or a speaker. Do you know that, by the way?
I have my headphones on, but maybe I've got an input problem here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, well, now I'm not hearing it. So that's good. Okay. I don't know. We'll figure it out. CJ says, I love Trish, but she should not be getting a championship match. I kind of addressed that a minute ago, but CJ's comment was one that sparked that. Sadler Vision 3 said this match is just to further legitimize Tiffany. Well, of course. I mean, it's not only for that. I think they think people would tune in to see Trish wrestle Tiffany. I think it's a cool match to have, even if the hype is a little scripted and all that. Let's see. Some comments about the Nashville dress tonight. Trish completed the cowboy hat trifecta with her, Charlotte Flair, and Montez Ford. Dougie Doug said, I don't know why the memo went out that we needed Trish Stratus, Nikki Bella looking like the fellow kids meme in backwards hat, and Goldberg back in 2025. Tonight, I already did that. Chris Johnson said the Trish and Tiffany conversation didn't make any sense. They talked past each other, not responding to the points being made. We mentioned that earlier. Derek Mitchell said, I'm not a fan of champions choosing their own opponents, especially when the champions are choosing babyface contenders. Tiffany is unlikable as a babyface. We largely addressed that. Derek says the positive was they kept it short and to the point, and neither woman cut too hard and came across as overly heelish. It's not overly heelish, but Kelly, do you see a problem across the board, including NXT, with too many situations? And we even saw with Heyman and Solo. Every one of them you can kind of justify, rationalize, but there's a lot of times where people are kind of put in a position to choose between two people they like who are insulting each other, or choose between two people who they don't like, and they end up thinking, well, now I kind of like Heyman, or now I kind of like Solo, going into a show the next day where you're supposed to hate both of them for separate feuds that they're having. Andy, the Mario and Sonic fan 2000, said, I'm just burned out from all the babyface versus babyface feuds. They're making me not care who wins, which kills the excitement. Kelly, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think NXT is perhaps more problematic with this than Raw and SmackDown are. But that doesn't have to be a big deal, because NXT, they can try a lot of things. It's much, much lower stakes doing this on NXT. It is a TV show meant to get ratings, but it's just much lower stakes than Raw and SmackDown. So I think they kind of get away with it a little bit, and they are trying people out in certain roles and seeing how they're responded to. But I think by and large, wrestling in this and other companies is doing too much of this, and it doesn't do the product a lot of favors when you do so much of it.
Yeah. Another comment from Goodfella 1422. Why wouldn't WWE pivot if they don't see Tiffany thriving? Embrace what she does well. Work on her babyface character behind the scenes. I mean, they're just too. I mean, you can't take her off. You can't send her back to NXT. She just needs reps in the ring. That's where we are. I don't think there's much at this point they can do with it. Mark Biscotti, since Tiffany chose Trish, this whole segment was tone deaf. I don't think so. Tiffany said, "I chose you because I need to add you to the list of people I beat to someday. Well, not someday. To be considered to be considered one of the GOATs." I mean, not to be super technical, but greatest of all time doesn't mean you're one of. It means the singular best. You can't be one of something that is EST. That is singular. That's a little technicality, but I mean, I want to be one of the. I want to be seen as one of the greats, and then we can drop the whole GOAT thing, which is overdone. So you accomplish grammatical correctness, which always makes me a little happy. I'm imperfect, but anyway. You get my point. I'm trying to come up with a shaming reason for them to stop saying goats. But I think you can justify Tiffany choosing Trish in the segment making sense because it addressed that. Let's see. Just a statement. Brock Bennyfield. Women's wrestling in the U.S. has changed so much from Trish. Regarding Tiffany not getting a big pop, Sadler Vision 3 said, I think other stars from the Attitude Era get massive pops, though. But yeah, Kelly, I think you summarized why that is well. I mean, it just wasn't the biggest division at that point. All right. Let's jump. We got other stuff to cover. Jelly Roll, Logan Paul, developments for Saturday night's main event regarding that. I think we can see a likely scenario for how the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton match will end. Drew got laid out Randy, and now you got Logan Paul, who might get involved in that one and cost Randy. We'll get into that. But let's go to our first caller of the night. We got Sean from Tennessee standing by. Sean, welcome. Good to see you, and good that we're about to hear from you. What's on your mind about SmackDown?
Well, I will say that, first of all, I was actually thinking about going tonight because obviously it's not far from where I live. But then it was like, the more I thought about it, the more I looked at at first I thought Cody might be there, but then I was like, I don't think so. And it turned out he wasn't. So I'm kind of glad.
He and Cena would be there next week. That's a news.
Yeah.
They said that on tonight's show. So it's a little news item.
So, but no, Kelly, it's always good to talk to you, man. Glad you're on here. Glad you got to do a post show on SmackDown. But yeah, I guess I want to bring up a different topic. I'll bring up what you said about Jelly Roll, but I want to talk about the tag team division a little bit because I do think it's just, in a way, it's a jumbled mess in certain respects. I think there's a lot of talented tag teams on the roster. There's no doubt about that, especially as we saw tonight. But one thing that drove me crazy, Wade, because you talk about this, during the tag team title match, when Montez early in the match was Angelo was going to get the hot tag from Montez, and man, did he oversell the crap out of that in such a corny, overblown way. I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous, man. Come on, like, be better than that. And then just some of the stuff. But Wyatt Six, the only good thing I can say about them winning the tag team titles, because I was not a fan of that, honestly. I was not a fan. I think they have done no development with them at all. They're just, they're the Wyatt Six. They're cool. Their entrance is cool. Now it doesn't do anything for me anymore. It was fun, but now it doesn't really do anything for me me watching it personally. And so the only thing I can see good about it is you could build to them against Andrade and Phoenix and have them win the tag team titles from them. I just don't see any purpose. If you're not going to build their characters, and Bo, take the mask off, dude. This Uncle Howdy stuff isn't doing it for me. What did you think of the tag team title match? What do you think about them as winning the titles, and where do you think they might be going from here?
There was a time, Kelly, where a tag team title change on national television would have been the headline on a show like this. I mean, granted, I think Trish is a big deal, and they're promoting a main, one of the main events or the main event for Evolution, and Evolution doesn't come around very often as a all-women show. So I feel good about putting that in the A block. But yeah. I mean, it doesn't. This tag division is just a blob of lots of teams yelling at each other. And I mean, I think Ciampa has developed a character as a hothead and Gargano as a smarmy, sort of calming influence, but he's just smarmy. I don't think Sabin and Shelley have come across great. I mean, everybody's sort of had little things. Some are good, some are not, but does not feel prestigious when they get the treatment that, frankly, the women used to get, which is, we don't have more than one segment for you, so we're going to have you all gather backstage and yell and bicker. So that's bad. However, as I wrote in my TV report at PWTorch.com on SmackDown, I think it's good if you have any desire to make the Wyatts seem relevant, to send the signal, storyline-wise and meta-wise. We haven't completely given up on them. I mean, they've been creatively abandoned. There's no character development for how they relate to each other or any layers to who they are after a little bit of that early. But giving them a tag title win, Kelly, does sort of send a message. Don't give up on them yet. But it is the SmackDown tag division. And no matter how much they talk about how great it is, it does feel like it's a bunch of people hanging out backstage, yelling at each other. Kelly, your thoughts on the title change and my framing of it?
Yeah, and it also seems that in order to be the champion at some point, all you really need is picture ID. You are at some point going to be tapped to hold those championships. They've hot potatoed them a lot. And the division's big enough that they don't necessarily have to. The Street Profits just got done with a 4-month reign, and that felt really, really long, just because they had not been doing stuff any longer than that. So I would like to see a little more stability. I get that they're just treating it as the division where anything can happen. I get that part of it, but yes, the issue you're talking about with only having one segment there for them is really a problem. And you kind of have to have, like, DIY are supposed to be really despicable, but they're just standing there yelling and not attacking anybody just because everybody's got to get their time in. Everybody's got to get their lines in. It is, yes, very similar to what the women's division was some years ago. So I don't know. As far as the Wyatts winning the championships, I like it in theory, but we didn't really build to this. So I guess that I guess more time needed to see what I think about this. For whatever reason, I thought it was going to happen. As the match went on and as certain spots didn't finish for the Street Profits, I thought, oh my gosh, they're actually pulling the trigger on this. So I don't know whether to assume they've got a plan or they just thought, okay, let's just do it. And then let's work backwards from there and see what this reign is going to be about.
The Wyatts over... I'm back to the feedback. The Wyatts overall, Kelly, Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, familiar names to longtime followers of NXT. Are they the right two to have this? Does it make sense? I would have thought, Bo Dallas, Uncle Audi, and Eric Rowan would have been more of an A team to do it. Are they saving them for singles push, or and have they done enough with Dexter and Joe to not have this feel like, even though yes, the Wyatt 6 won, it's the two sidekicks or background players who are less developed or less known, and to me, it's in a way, it gives a little bit of a boost to the Wyatt 6 winning the tag titles, but I think because of the two members who won it with such a lack of character development and standout performances in the ring, that it makes it feel like a prelim title, which also, by the way, pulls the Street Profits down, not up.
I think that okay. Sorry, I looked at one of the comments and that
don't do that.
Don't do that. I know not to do that.
You are the host. You are the host who asks questions,
yes.
And you know how bad it is.
I know.
Someone does it
I
to you, and then look at you.
Okay, so as far as which guys won it, this is the team.
And did it pull the Profits down too?
To be,
sorry. Yeah.
Yes, this is the team that I expected it to be when they said the Wyatt 6 were challenging, just because this seems to be the tag team within the Wyatts, but you're right that it doesn't seem like the biggest names they could have gone. I guess they wanted the visual of Rowan standing there outside, and they wanted the visual of Bo sitting in the chair with Nikki in front. And I think that they probably know that there's probably never going to be a time for singles championships for Eric or Bo, but maybe they just think, let's keep that bullet in the chamber in case that's what we want to do. But all that said, they know that Joe and Dexter aren't the stars of the division, because they didn't say Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis challenge for the titles. They kept just promoting that the Wyatt 6 were challenging for the titles, and we didn't know who it was going to be until that match happened. So if they had more trust that these were names big enough to actually do it, they would have promoted that all the way.
Yep.
As far as the Street Profits losing something here, yes, probably, but they're pretty good on the stick and a lot of fun backstage. So I think they can talk themselves back into relevance relatively easily. So they can save that, but it wasn't booked very friendly for them.
Sean, back to you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like every team is running in circles. There's no real development with any of them. And that's why I would love to do something now with you when you have Andrade and Ray Phoenix. There's something there between them. Like they have good chemistry in the ring together. Like they have that background, not the background, but the way their characters seem like they fit off each other. It seems like it works well. I think you could actually tell a story because they're not telling a story with the Wyatt Six. They abandoned it quick, and now they're just trying to push it out of nowhere. And the Street Profits have been running around in circles for 2 years. I feel like they've gone nowhere for 2 years. There's, Montez has a charisma about him, but we're not seeing much of it other than just the stuff in the ring he does. And Angelo he's okay he's not bad, but he's not like jumping off the screen at me. So I don't know where they're going, but I hope they just have, if you're going to do some stuff with the tag teams, have a plan and try to go with that plan.
I would rather have the Street Profits feuding with one team. They each cut promos each week. That other team is built up as credible. And even if that means keeping some wrestlers, some other tag teams off air for a while, I'm fine with that. I'm not against, and I don't think it'll devastate their audience if they occasionally throw in a tag team contenders match 2-on-2, and they don't just save it for a cheap gauntlet match or battle royal or multi-team, 3 or 4 team match. Just treat the division like a normal structured division. Hey, the Machine Guns have a hot streak. They've won a lot of matches, or whoever. But they don't have to be on TV every week. Just because you're paying them doesn't mean you have to ruin them by wedging them onto TV every week in a segment that undercuts their credibility. Leave people wanting more, and don't put them in a position to kind of embarrass themselves or look prelim. Pick a team, build them up, and have it feel epic. I mean, you don't need depth in the tag team division in terms of teams on TV every single week for it to feel like a big deal. The Von Erichsen Freebirds rarely feuded with anyone else. The Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express rarely feuded with anyone else. The glory days in the mid-'80s WWF tag teams, yes, they had probably 5-6 really credible teams, but they feuded with each other for a length of time. And same thing with the Edge and Christian, Dudley's and Hardy's era. Other teams were built up and visited the top ranks. But anyway, I don't want to give up on your major tag team champions feeling like a big deal. The Profits feel like they should always be a big deal, even if their characters have been a bit of a mucky mess going different directions the last couple of years. But especially the Wyatt Six, if you're going to put the time that they have into them, even though it's stopped and restarted, let's talk about why Dexter and why Dexter and Gacy are threats. What is it about them that makes prime us so that when they win the titles, we think no one will ever take them from them again because they're so good. And there's nothing has been done to create that impression.
And are they faces or heel? I don't even know. I don't even know what they're going for. That's what's so mucky about this division. It's like everybody's like, we're good, we're bad, we're in the middle. Where are we?
I thought I knew, and then Rowan got involved in the match, and now I don't.
Yep. Mark Biscotti in the chat says the substance in Triple H's booking has dropped across most of the card on both brands. The tag division has no essence right now. Let's see. Derek Mitchell says the tag team division is definitely prelim only, defending the tag titles on SmackDown before a PLE. I'm sure others have noticed that pattern with the tag division. Sadler Vision 3 says, I assume they're heels now. So anyway. All right, Sean, let's move to another topic if you want or not.
Yeah. So going to the earlier, the Fatal 4-Way women's match leading into the tag match at Evolution, one thing I've said before, and I'll kind of repeat it. I really wish, I know why they did it, and it made sense, but I want Ruka, if she's going to be on the main roster, wait till she's ready to be on the main roster. Stop putting them on TV when, yes, they're like, oh, we want to get a glimpse of them, but wait till it's time to move on and they go up to the main roster. Don't just have them there for one time and then take them away. And I just don't like when they do that. I wish they would stop that. But the match was Kyrie. I feel like she's been a mess in the ring since coming back. Is there something that maybe she's still not 100%, or I don't know what's going on there? But the main question I was going to was Alexa and Charlotte. I want to like it, but I don't know where they're going with it. Can you guys help me think of where they could be going? It just feels so weird because, again, Charlotte is just better as a heel. Alexa's, we like her, but she's trying to get in with Charlotte. I just don't get the dynamic of where they're going with it.
So actually, I want to cover everything you covered, Sean. Multiple things there. One, I brought up with Todd Martin on the Fix yesterday. The Kairi Sane, a lot of people saying she's been sloppy in the ring. She hasn't gotten a lot of reps. I haven't noticed it as much as others, but others are bringing enough attention to it that it must be happening more than even I'm noticing. I mean, it feels like you are noticing it, Sean. Kelly, what do you think about what you saw tonight with her, and what do you think about, we talk about reps being helpful and there aren't house shows. And I know I talked to some people in WWE and they're like, well, we do our performance center shows where wrestlers are the audience and we practice. I'm like, that's just not the same. I mean, like, it's just nothing that's done that isn't like live without a net is going to give you the same experience. It's better than nothing. And everybody agrees with that, but house shows would be better. But maybe there is something up with Kairi. I don't know. Kelly, your thoughts on that?
It must have been bad because today wasn't great, and I still didn't notice today that I wasn't thinking about it being a problem. As far as Asuka and Charlotte, what's going on with that? I think what's going on is they want them both to be on TV, and they don't have another excuse to put them on TV right now. They didn't want to have them in the Battle Royal because they didn't want to have them lose in the Battle Royal. So I guess they just wanted to do a brief teaming, but they gave the team kind of an unofficial name. I don't know, the Marriage of Convenience or the Alliance of Convenience, whatever they said. So Derek Mitchell asked if Asuka was at ringside. She was. Yes. She did take a bump late in the match, and I noticed multiple missteps on the part of production, just cameras not being where they were supposed to, a near fall being missed where the announcers were really talking about can you believe he kicked out of that? And I'm like, I didn't even know that he was in a pinning predicament. That was in the tag match. But on the and then on Sol Ruka, sorry, I'm covering
that was good. That was the next thing I wanted to bring up that Sean did so good.
She certainly has a lot going for her. She does definitely make some bizarre mental mistakes. I will say that it was one of the most face-palming moments that I've had all year watching NXT when Zarya was in a match wrestling, and I think Zarya and Lash Legend, and a "This is awesome" chant happened, and Sol just started chanting "This is awesome" with the crowd. And it's like, it is, but you're supposed to want Zarya to win this match. That's what you're supposed to be cheering for. And she just started cheering the work along with the crowd. And then it happened a couple weeks later, and I really hope somebody got in her face about that. So I think Sol can be big if she gets out of her own way. Thank you. I'm glad that Andy saw that.
Andy the Mario, for our podcast audience, Andy and Mario, the Sonic Fan 2000 says that made me cringe so hard, Kelly. To the point, there's pro and con to having NXT wrestlers appear on Raw and SmackDown before their call up, and it can take away. I think in general, you should try to avoid it at almost all costs. But if you're promoting a show where there's multiple NXT wrestlers on with Raw and SmackDown wrestlers, you kind of have to. You don't have to. You could just put the graphic on the screen and not show them. But I mean, they are now part of the larger main roster universe when they're all intermixing like this on Evolution. So there are exceptions. But do you think historically with call-ups, Kelly, that there are examples of wrestlers who would have had more of an impact when they got called up to Raw or SmackDown if they had never appeared on Raw and SmackDown before? So that and part of it isn't just how they debut if they've appeared on Raw or SmackDown before, but when they appeared on Raw and SmackDown before, it kind of should handcuff how you introduce them, because in theory, the Raw and SmackDown audience, which is bigger than NXT's, has seen them in a certain context, and it takes away you can do whatever you want, but I mean, there's a preset expectation of who they are in that new in the Raw and SmackDown universe if they appear prior. Now, we had Isaac Yankem can become Kane. I mean, I'm not saying you have to abide by it. I mean, there's so many examples of wrestlers who have switched over time. Bo Dallas is totally different, although there's a little bit of an internal canon story for that. But yeah, let me just round it to my original question, Kelly. Are there examples of wrestlers who you think were hurt because their debut wasn't saved for when they're actually called up?
There are certain characters, especially even more than workers, that need mystique. I would say don't ever put Oba Femi on the main roster until you absolutely want to leave him there. And don't rush him there. Do it when he's figured in. Do it when you can move him on up to either the main event or close to it. And he's just one name that I would say would be like that. Gosh, I'm sure I will think of a lot of names when it isn't time to be thinking about them yet.
Yeah,
but
I understand that. I relate.
But yeah, I just think that certainly what they did with Karrion Kross, bringing him on as a doofus who lost to Jeff Hardy when he was undefeated on NXT, was not the time to do that. And like, I'm not gonna die on the hill of Karrion Kross because he's just Karrion Kross, but they were doing what they did with him, and it was not great. Yeah, that was somebody who could have benefited from just not being on at all, at least until that story was done. And I get why they do it. I totally get that it's probably a benefit to these young talents to be in front of that big crowd and to understand the differences in production and the differences in national crowd response, because it can be very, very tempting to believe in your Orlando bubble that the way that this crowd, that's the same people every week, responds to you is the way they're going to respond to you. But you might be over in Orlando and just be over in Orlando. So yeah, I would have said don't put Trick Williams on before it was time to call him up. They did, but at least they didn't overexpose him. It was just an appearance.
Yeah, I think standing at ringside as essentially a celebrity of sorts, like, hey, it's, like the MAGA FC appearances tonight by 3 of the fighters from MAGA UFC. They have their the vibe that gives off is these are celebrities. They show people or a Netflix series. So when you show an NXT wrestler at ringside, I'm okay with that. It used to be in reverse, where in the TakeOver era, Kelly, they would show someone in the TakeOver crowd who was a new acquisition to build them up as coming. And I think that's kind of part of the spirit of what they're doing now. It can work, but it should be them in a flattering light in the persona that they're going to have when they get called up.
Yes, and it, in that moment, having them just at ringside, it's a tease for what you're going to get. We don't get the vignettes that we used to in the golden age, or whatever you want to call those late 80s, early 90s moments where that was how they hyped somebody up. And there's no mystique because internet means that you know who these guys are. But I think that kind of is enough to whet the appetites of the people who don't live their lives talking wrestling online.
And the thing is there's nothing wrong with being cognizant of the fact that a giant part of your audience is on social media. But a giant part of your audience who are on social media are not absorbing and hitting refresh and reading everything. They have pockets of information or things they follow. Everybody's feed is different. Everything is curated and recommended to you based on your past, whatever. So the assumption that everyone on social media lives in the same universe can get you in trouble. But number two, a lot of people aren't on social media. A lot of people are, but they're not following wrestling stuff intensely. So if you want to limit yourself to only the audience who are on social media, then cater to them. But if you want to grow beyond that, cater to everybody. And that means assume no knowledge when you are introducing people. There's no harm done to people who know who these people are. Same with the NXT audience. Like, don't assume Raw and SmackDown know who these people are. Give the full restart of character development to somebody when you call them up. The main question Sean had is what's going on with Charlotte and Alexa, right, Sean? Yeah. So I like this. Todd Martin on the fix, he mentioned he didn't like it. I'm curious about you, Kelly. I think Charlotte is being perhaps put in a position to be turned babyface. That Players Tribune article was touching and revealing and humanized her in a way that her robotic scripted promos did not. And I think they're trying to soften her up and maybe put her in a position for her own mental health to not be booed and heckled when she's standing in the ring for promos. And people love Alexa Bliss. She's fostered almost the complete opposite of type of social media reaction that Charlotte has. And if Alexa can kind of pull her into her realm and shake Charlotte out of being a humorless robot who acts entitled and feels like she has to act a certain way where it just looks like her socks are way too tight. That can actually lead to Charlotte becoming likable, not through manipulation, but actually realistically causing her to exhale a little bit and relax, because she has someone in Alexa who's kind of helping her break out of this very robotic, scripted environment. And so to me, this is almost like on-air therapy for her. I think Ashley is starting to show up in the Charlotte character in a way that could lead to her being liked. Now, this could be a stupid swerve where she turns on Alexa and they feud. When I say stupid, maybe it'll work. But I mean, to me, I just think watching Charlotte struggle as a heel, she's going, she's got a little cocky streak. Oh, she had a little quip at Alexa, but she does seem to be actually having fun on air for the first time in a very long time, instead of thinking she has to fit within a certain mold of her dad or being royalty and being the queen. Kelly, your thoughts?
I thought that this was headed the same way, because they're an odd couple, but they didn't come off as an odd couple that is truly a face and a heel. It really just seemed like different types of baby faces in the scene. If I had stepped into this episode today with no knowledge of where it had been before, I would assume they were just baby faces who really didn't team together before, or didn't team together recently. So I will co-sign that just based on what I think I would have thought if I hadn't been watching the product. But I do worry that it's going to be a swerve and that we will get the same type of oh god, they can't be doing that. No, you put it into my head like the fear of the swerve here.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that would be strong enough. I think this story only works if they are if she is turning face, and whether that is, which means they should probably win the tag team championships so they can kind of
at some point
have a sure, but in order to continue that story, it seems like that marriage of convenience will have to continue to be convenient because they are the champions.
Sadler version 3 says Charlotte legit feels like she's getting worked into shoots. Ashley legitimately can't handle getting booed. Kyle Fassel said, I don't get the whole thing about her saying it felt like the fans were booing Ashley. It seems so odd to me. Brock Benningfield says, I might be at the point of no return on liking Charlotte, but I could be persuaded. Derek Mitchell said the Charlotte article was enlightening and made me come around to her. And Ryan Solorio says Charlotte felt like an actual person tonight. And that's my argument. I think that the Alexa thing seems to almost be, it's like, I hope this doesn't come across patronizing, but like sometimes you put the disruptive kid in the classroom and pair him up with the responsible kid. And you like to sort of like pull him out of the zone of doing the wrong things to get attention. And to me, like Alexa just seems, I mean, she's been through a lot, but she seems on air to have this confidence and a fan following. And so pairing them up with a referenced history to NXT, but Charlotte kind of, it shakes her out of one zone and puts her into another state where she can maybe get some positive feedback that can then be built upon so that people are less likely to heckle her because of her, I don't want to say thin skin. I'd rather say sensitivity to criticism. And I also think it would help if Charlotte just didn't look at social media and told no one to tell her about anything going on social media for 6 months, because there's no requirement as human beings. You have to go somewhere that's toxic and makes you sad. And you don't need to, it's uncontrollable. So if you think you can control it, you can't. And there's just absolutely zero reason, if it bothers her, to look at it. I mean, she can ask a trusted friend to give her a summary once every 2 weeks for 3 minutes and she can look forward to that moment, but otherwise stay off of it. Like literally read a great book, watch a great movie, like go volunteer for something, make yourself feel good about something otherwise, and that stuff won't matter. And I don't want to say I can psychoanalyze her, but she opened herself up in that article, and it seems like, honestly, this Alexa thing might actually like be a journey that fans can look at Charlotte a different way on it. I think that'd be good for everybody. Sean, we said a lot there. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I want to say my piece on it because I have a lot of thoughts on it. My whole thing is, okay, when Charlotte came back, she had been gone for a long time, okay? WWE, it was their fault initially by putting the vignette on there to where she's above it all. She's better than everybody else. so-called she's working, they said she's working hard to get back and all this stuff, but they made her feel like she's bigger and had that arrogant attitude. And so, yes, when she came back, the fans saw right through it. I think Charlotte, yes, I think she's a really cool, good person in real life. I don't think anybody's debating that point. I don't think anybody can argue that.
Well,
She
the
might
people
be the greatest
criticizing
person.
her are ruining her life, but because she apparently is sensitive to it and can't just step away from it.
Well, but then when you get her on TV, she's better as a heel. She just works better that way.
The Charlotte you've seen. But my argument is that what Alexa is doing is softening Charlotte's veneer into somebody who, by definition, won't necessarily be a better heel. She might be a good face. I'm open to that. And, I think Dr. Doom said Charlotte appeared to be so much less robotic tonight. It was solid.
It was okay.
Kyle Fassel says, I feel more positive about Alexa Charlotte stuff tonight. I'm just saying I don't want to. I could be, quote, proven wrong to have given this a chance, but I think it's fair to give it a chance because I think the default easy position to take is nice try. This is going to be a swerve. Charlotte is Charlotte. And she's beyond repair. And I'm just not taking that position here. And I think they've taken us on a journey that I found for the last month plus to be compelling.
Yeah, I just don't think we should force fans to want to cheer her. I think it's what they're trying to do. They're trying to force it, I think.
Sean, you're right. You're right. They should not force people to. But I would argue they're doing the exact opposite here. They're showing you a softer side of her 1 week at a time through a long-term plan. Let's reward them and praise them for starting at the position everybody was at with Charlotte, which is we don't want to see them team. And Charlotte doesn't want to team with Alexa. And then they go, we don't want to be friends. And fans are like, good, because we don't want Alexa to be friends with Charlotte. So, but maybe they can use each other. I can accept that. Then the next week, Alexa's kind of softening her a little bit, but Charlotte's still Charlotte. We're rolling our eyes. We still don't like her. And then they're like taking us one step at a time gradually. And they're actually telling a story that you can't just put Charlotte on TV and go, she's a babyface. But if you tell a story for 6 weeks and it's just a little step at a time and you actually see Charlotte appear to be different, softening, she actually isn't being framed as likable. She just becomes likable because she has relaxed a little bit. I'm open to it and I like this effort. Kelly, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I would say with all the stories that are running in place on this show right now, this actually feels like the one that is developing from week to week. And so I'm into it just because there's so much on the show that feels stagnant from week to week.
Yeah. So that's my pushback, Sean, is you don't have to like her, but at least be open to looking at her differently enough that maybe you will see it as a natural thing for fans to do, is to like her by the time they tell this story.
Let's just say I'm willing. I'm with every story, at least this kind of thing. Like I want to see it play out and see, and then like you said, if Charlotte just ends up turning on her, it's like, okay, well, why'd you waste all this time just to have Charlotte turn on her? But the next topic I want to go to really quick, and I didn't know if you guys would even get to this on the show because it seemed kind of small, but I'm actually the R-Truth Aleister Black match was what it was. I mean, we all kind of had a feeling that might happen. Dumb finish, bad finish. But what I like about it is I really think you could have a lot of the stuff when they had Aleister Black, even this time when he came back, they didn't have him talking in riddles, but it still felt like riddles. We still didn't know who he was, what he was about. I think you could have a sports-like feud with him and Damian, which they did tonight, starting like have Aleister Black as the pure heel, which obviously we know he turned tonight, which was good. He's a better heel. He's got that kind of look to him. He's got a cool look. The stuff with him and Priest, I think, could be very, very good for both guys. I actually really like what they're doing with them. What'd you guys think of that whole segment tonight?
Well, we got an answer. Not that it wasn't foreseeable. It was an option, which is Priest is going to be the cool head, as he was in Judgment Day eventually. And Aleister's going to flip out over something, and Priest would say, calm down, and then he'd turn. I mean, this was a scenario that was on the list of likely directions this all was going, with kind of the whatever the interactions with a babyface Truth, babyface Priest, babyface Black. Now you got Truth is essentially being buried, even with the win tonight against a guy who never lost. It sounds weird to say that, but he didn't get his ring entrance. They're calling him R-Truth, not Ron Killings. They're not really into the gimmick of him being different. They just see him as having stripped away what led to people think he was likable and interesting. And they're like, okay, you wanted this. Now we're going to let you have it. And we're going to show you why it isn't going to work or wasn't working. So he's basically was a pawn in this, despite, I mean, he got a win. So that's their cover story for this, but he wasn't featured really tonight. This is all about Priest and Black, and it's to turn Black and feud him with Priest. I mean, it's fine. I mean, Black getting booed is a challenge, but having him turn on Priest and also kind of be opposing Truth is, I think opposing Truth, Kelly, was a way to prime fans to dislike Black because they like Truth even if they're not as excited about this version of him. And Priest is a cool alpha, good dude leader babyface who tries to get everyone to calm down, and Black didn't. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is a story where he didn't know for sure it was going. This was one of the possibilities, and I think right now it's landed in a good place. I felt good about it too. Kelly, how about you?
Yeah, Truth was definitely just a pawn here. I don't know why he wanted to present this version of himself so badly right now, because they were going to never really push this version of Truth at age 53. Best case scenario for him was to be the character that he was. And they gave him a win because that justifies the fact that they brought him back. But it wasn't about him. So I like where this is going to bring Black and Priest. I was just starting to get worried about what they were doing with Black at all, even though he hadn't lost any matches. But I think that this is going to be, this could be a mean and loud feud that elevates both guys, kind of like a Sheamus versus Cesaro. If you found a feud where you wanted to do, if they wanted to do a best of 7 feud this year, this could be the one.
Yeah.
I think that this could be memorable, and you could do 3 or 4 of the matches could end fairly quickly because both these guys have out of nowhere quick offense, a couple of Black Mass wins, and you can do a lot of different type of matches with these two guys. So I think that this will benefit both guys greatly.
Sean, any follow up or anything else quick? We want to get to other callers too.
Nope, I want to get to them, see what they got to say. Appreciate it, guys. Always fun. Go VIP, everybody.
Thanks, Sean. Great topics.
Yeah, see you guys.
You bet. All right, let's bring Jason D from Australia next. Jason, thanks for calling. What is on your mind tonight?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit, Wade and Kelly. But I just wanted to say, first of all, Kelly, I really enjoy your NXT reviews. I've only started watching NXT regularly. I've gone on and off it over the years. But over the past several months, since Ricky Saints came in, and since Corey Graves has been on commentary, I really enjoy Corey Graves as a commentator. So I like watching the show when I get the chance. And then I enjoy listening to you and Nate reviews. So I keep up the good work. I really enjoy the insight and the past references that you guys make. So thank you for that.
I've enjoyed them adding
that a lot. Yeah.
And I've enjoyed them, Kelly, adding the option where you can just mute everything Booker T says automatically, so you don't have to hear.
Oh, yes.
That's
very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I myself would mute Vic before I would mute Booker, but I do both. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm glad it's the right amount of snark for you, Jason.
That's like, I understand where you're coming from, because I tend to just watch it as sort of switch off, and I watch it and I enjoy it, and I've enjoyed it more. I think it's been less juvenile over the past several months. Some of the backstage segments are like, these are ridiculous, but over the past, I think they've tightened it up. But anyway, in relation to tonight, look, I have a fair bit to say about Tiffany and Alexa and that, but I'll let you guys jump into the Jelly Roll segment with Logan Paul. Yeah. I thought this went as well as it possibly could. What I really enjoyed about it was Logan Paul coming out and accusing Jelly Roll of all the things that people accuse Logan Paul of. So for him to switch that on Jelly Roll, I thought he did a great job getting heat. And obviously, we're heading towards a tag match at SummerSlam. We can see this with McIntyre kind of reluctantly teaming up with Logan Paul against Jelly Roll and Randy Orton. I'm assuming they're going down that path. I like this option because it keeps Drew McIntyre firmly as a heel, as opposed to coming across cool. So I like him teaming with a fellow heel. Now, I don't know, maybe people might cheer McIntyre over Logan. I don't know what's going on there. But in any event, I enjoyed this segment. I thought it went as well as it could. What did you guys think?
We could have led the post show with this segment. I mean, Jelly Roll's a big star. Logan, obviously, super well known. I thought they played up the, you're a carpetbagger. You're what was a phrase they use? guest in. They just emphasized a certain term, not what was it? Come on, Chad.
Did they say interloper?
No, I'm thinking of big words, and they just said something more simple. I'm making it more complicated, but nevertheless,
okay.
I'll find it in my report here. But I thought it was good. I thought Jelly Roll was like the opposite of like Jon Stewart, who I haven't harped on in like a couple of years. Jon Stewart was the absolute worst like guest because he couldn't just, but he does it on his own show now too. It's just like over the top facial expressions and hamming it up and Jelly Roll looked like it's like 1978 and it's real again to him. Like that's how everybody acted back then. He was pissed. He felt outsider. Thank you, Dr. Doom. Outsider. You're an outsider. That's super simple. Thank you. Jelly Roll was like, it's like he thought it was real. And Joe Tessitore, I think Joe has been, quote, smartened up. I think he thinks it's real. Like, I love it. You want that universe to be full of people who are just pissed off and believably so, and aren't looking like they're embarrassed that their friends are going to see them taking it seriously, which is always what Jon Stewart came across as, and a lot of guest hosts do. He was the worst. Did I say that? And I think Jelly Roll was really good here. And parenthetically, good for him for that weight loss. That's amazing. That was, and I'm glad they acknowledged it. Randy, congratulated him for it. The having Logan Paul like be the person opposite of Jelly Roll. I thought Logan Paul got Gunther's script. Oh, this is a sacred ring. You don't belong in it. It's like the irony. You could just see like people at home going, "Who are you to talk? Who are you to talk?" So I thought it was like really well done. Randy was red-faced. I think he was going to bust a blood vessel getting in Logan's face out there. So, yeah, I like this, and I think it's I don't know if it'll be I could be a tag match. I mean, maybe Jelly Roll's in enough shape, but I was, maybe just someone at ringside, too. I don't know. Kelly, I hit 27 quick points there. What'd you think?
I actually thought this was what you were going to open the show with, just because this was pretty good. When Jelly Roll was announced and they had him out to do a song, I was like, okay, cool. I had one errand to run out of the house. This is where I can just flip it on my phone and listen to it while I go to do this thing. And then lo and behold, I get to where I'm going and I'm sitting in my car watching it, because I was like, they would drop a good segment on here. I just thought that this was, to say what Jason said, it was, I think, the best case scenario considering all the pieces on paper. This was just an odd assemblage of dudes that you could not expect being in the same segment. And the Logan Paul stuff, it was almost too obvious with him cutting down influencers and outsiders. Yeah. But I think they got away with it. And Orton came out and he over-explained the joke. But this is wrestling. They do over-explain their jokes every time they have them. So I thought that this went off really well. And if you're going to sign Logan Paul to a long-term contract, this is the kind of story this is what he's for. I mean, this is what you signed him for. He doesn't have to be in championship angles. Sure, give him a secondary championship every now and then. They did that, but yeah, I think that this is the kind of I don't know about gatekeeper, but this is the kind of role that you can put him in and he can really shine in.
Yeah, Jelly Roll did great. Logan Paul did great. Randy was good. Drew is Drew. He's always. I love Drew. Like, just leaving the ring, smiling, like acting like I'm not going to do anything. So yeah, I thought everybody played their parts well here. I'm curious if the equipment damage caused by Logan Paul was more than the value of the Young Bucks limousine on Wednesday, because that's music equipment's not cheap. That could have been a nice drum set, a classic guitar. Who knows? Probably not. But yeah, that was their version of it. And it worked well being in Nashville. Randy can go, who are you to say he's an outsider? This is his hometown. You're the ultimate outsider, carpetbagger, interloper, whatever. Jason, back to you. Did we cover what you wanted, or do you want to change topics or respond?
Yeah, no, I'm assuming it's going to be a tag match at SummerSlam. I'm just assuming that, but I am looking forward to, if it is a tag match, the interplay between Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I think that would play off each other quite well with Logan trying to tell Drew, oh, look at this guy coming, he thinks he owns it, his tongue at that, thinking what he thinks about Logan, and then sort of trying to keep him into place and telling Logan, look what happened with you and Cena, you follow my lead. So the interplay there would be good too. So that could make for an entertaining tag. So we'll see how we go there.
Jason, before we move on for our listeners on the podcast, I know you just read a couple comments about the Logan Jelly Roll stuff, if you'll indulge. Derek Mitchell said, Logan Paul being the wrestling purist gatekeeper is hilarious. Brock Benningfield, Logan Paul's promo is peak heel. The only thing I liked about it. Logan killed it here too. Jelly Roll kicked ass on his fitness journey. Ryan Telario says, yeah, Jelly Roll and Randy versus Logan and Drew at SummerSlam. Kyle Fassel says the Jelly Roll segment was surprisingly good, but Brock Benningfield says, I need celebrities to remain in the crowd, please. Well, there's exceptions, but that should be the default rule. Mark Biscotti says Logan Paul's a modern Miz. Miz came from real world. Paul came from YouTube. Both are similar characters. Logan's just better in the ring and on the mic. I added that. Randy calling him out made Logan smile. He marked out. Troy, though, welcome, Troy. Good to have you watching us live. Somebody save me from this storyline. So anyway, those are some of the comments on our conversation there. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, just to back up your point, Wade, if they're going to bring in these celebrities, I do like it. And I feel like there's been a change with this over the years. So when they bring in these celebrities, they do take it seriously. Like I thought Justin McIntyre hit Randy Orton with the Claymore. He sold it really well. Almost as if to say, oh, am I the reason that this has happened? Randy's come out to help me, and now Drew's taking him out. I thought he sold it really well. And he took the whole thing seriously. So they're going to put celebrities in these big matches. I'm kind of with that. It is what it is, and I understand it. I get it. But if you're going to put them in there, have them treat it seriously and have them treat the wrestling stars as if they are stars. And I feel like he's done that. So for what it is, I don't think they could have done it any better. So I was quite happy with it. Now, going back to Tiffany and Trish, this is why leading into WrestleMania, I was so convinced that Charlotte was going to defeat Tiffany, because I thought the story you would tell with that is that Tiffany displayed toughness, but ultimately Charlotte just got the better of her. I thought if you're in the Tiffany business, she didn't have to defeat Charlotte at WrestleMania, rather lose it in a gallant way and then have to fight her way back to the championship. But as people have pointed out in the chat, we've never had that story with Tiffany where she sort of worked her way up as a babyface. She had that little feud with Nia Jax. She ended up overcoming her, but we've never seen that chase. So that was always a weird booking decision for me. Yes, not just because getting over, you don't have to win to get over with the crowd. And I feel like, as other people have pointed out, this babyface character of Tiffany, she's the mean cheerleader that people are liking. But I'm sensing over the past few weeks, she's losing a bit of her babyface heat. So I don't have an issue with this match that she has against Trish at Evolution, because it is an evolution of Trish to Tiffany, just like Nikki and Liv would have been the evolution of each other. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Tiffany, but I don't blame her way where the writing and the booking, I think, comes in. I feel like she's been told backstage, look, faith, an edge to you. You've got a bit of an, we don't want you to lose that, maintain that, and we'll match you up against the right people. So you just keep doing what you're doing. So I feel like they could have done better with her with the matchmaking and just having her soften up a little bit, because she just hasn't. And that's why there's a bit of a disconnect, I think, with the crowd and the people watching the show.
I think Tiffany has a bit of Charlotte. It's like, I'm supposed to be a certain way, and it becomes a little cardboard. But, I don't think people think they've ever met Tiffany Kelly. I mean, like the person behind the character. I mean, she seems like there's a kind of a Barbie doll thing that has evolved ever so slightly into a WWE derivative Barbie doll who says just enough to be a babyface and wrestles just enough athletically to get cheered. But it's not, I mean, if you wrote out what they've done with her and just said, hey, does this, like, to somebody who doesn't follow WWE, just go, does this seem like a person you would rally behind? They'd be like, well, where in here is where she's likable? I mean, they haven't written that in. She just looks like a star, and fans are cheered her because of her athleticism, and the Barbie gimmick to a degree. I don't know. Kelly, anything you want to add? We talked a lot about this at the top of the show.
Yeah, the person I'd compare her to the most is actually Liv. Liv Morgan, who also just was put in a position to be a babyface and just went out there and didn't seem like she knew how to do it. And I don't think that there was anybody giving her enough help on that. And I guess I meant Liv there, but I do mean either one of them. And they were just miscast without anybody really explaining to them what do likable people in the world really act like.
And I get that Nia was mean to her,
Right?
But Tiffany, I mean, there are all kinds of things in the way that played out that I called it out at the time. I just didn't think endeared me to her,
Right.
including the way the whole cash-in thing played out. I don't know. I mean, the idea of Nia Jax is mean to her and she's an understudy and she's going to rebel against Nia Jax. Nia Jax is, by the way, Nia Jax is an example of what I say for the tag division. Someone doesn't have to be on TV every week to be a major player. When there's something for them to do, put them on TV. When they're not, give them a few weeks off or a month or two off. Or if someone's out injured, sometimes they come back hotter. You don't need them on TV every week. But yeah, I mean, the idea was there. It's just like so many things in the modern era. There's things that were done in the past and they redo them minus all the detail work that bookers who understood the business did to make it make sense. And they leave all that stuff out. It's like listening to a generic version of a song on a TV show because they don't want to pay rights. And it just sounds like it doesn't land with you emotionally. It's some derivative copy that has no heart. And a lot of storylines, unfortunately, in the modern era, and a lot of people who are newer fans don't get it. They're inspired by things of the past, but they're a shell of the execution. They're just low IQ versions of it. The pieces aren't there. And part of that is WWE is very insulated from hand to mouth in terms of good angle means I get fed. I earn revenue. We sell tickets because they sell tickets months and months ahead of time. They have years of guaranteed money coming in. And so they're just filling TV time with a version of what they remember that as a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox of the original way some of these stories were done.
So on the flip side, I do enjoy what they're doing with Charlotte and Alexa. And I thought this several weeks ago. I like the dynamic of Charlotte and Alexa. And I just like the visual of sort of Charlotte looking down at Alexa. But Alexa is very good, even though she's a very small stature. She projects bigger than what she is, right? She's got that sort of big personality that fans have gravitated to. And Charlotte kind of looking down upon her, but Alexa looking back at her and saying, listen, I see right through you, Charlotte, and I'm going to bring out what I believe is the real Charlotte. And there's a likable person there. Mm-hmm. Bit by bit, I think they're going to get there with Charlotte. And if you look at her tonight, she only did one thing, but this is where the booking comes in. Raquel Rodriguez took out a couple of people, but Charlotte was there to put an end to it, and the crowd cheered for that. Yep. No one's booing Charlotte. That's how you write someone. And I think bit by bit, I don't think there's going to be a swerve here. I think bit by bit, the facade of Charlotte is going to break down and she's going to become likable and she's going to get further over as a babyface. And I always had faith that they could do this. It's just you've got to write the character right. Having Charlotte come in and win the Raw heat, then putting up against Tiffany Stratton and the way that was sort of, a bit of a mumbled mess there, but people are going to cheer Tiffany over Charlotte because Tiffany's the newer thing and she's more fresher. You could see this happening a mile away, but now if they're trying to build Charlotte as a babyface, having Alexa play off her, I think eventually they're going to get there, and I have faith that they will. And that's when you write the right story and put the people with the right people, things can happen.
Yeah, well put. I'm with you. Anything you want to add, Kelly?
Yeah, I nothing further from that. It seems we're all in agreement there.
Yeah. All right, Jason, anything else for us?
Just one more thing. You're talking about the tag teams. I mean, again, I'm always a belief that if you want to take tag teams seriously, right, or have them come across like main eventers, then you need to associate them with main event singles talent. So for argument's sake, right, tonight you've got the tag match with JC Mateo and Solo Sikoa versus LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. When you've got all these tag teams bickering backstage, you could have easily have Nick Aldis say to one of the tag teams, look, you guys are so eager to fight. You want to get out there. DIY, you're teaming with Solo and JC. Motor City Machine Guns, or say Andrade and Phoenix, you're teaming with LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. Then you have a little backstage segment. talking to each other, solo, JC, stay out of my way, blah, blah, blah. Then you can have an 8-man tag, right? And then you play off your stories from there. But it's just the visual of associating the tag teams with established singles, I think helps get the tag teams over, as opposed to having them just all mingling with each other, because then you just feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're not getting anywhere as far as changing the perception of these tag teams to the fans. So I would like to see tag teams associating more with single stars. And if that means we get more 8-man tags or 6-man tags, I don't mind that. It's just about changing the perception of the tag teams and making them feel like main eventers in their own right. That's what I feel like they could do.
Kelly, what do you think of that scenario? Cal Fassel in the chat says it sounds like an AEW booked match, Jason.
I know, yes. And I was just about to say, good point, Kyle. I was just about to say that, but if it works, it works.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, including it sounding like something that they would do. But that is, having them rub elbows with guys at the top of the card could certainly be helpful. Whatever they're doing now is not working. Only having them in one segment isn't working. I really would have liked to see a secondary tag feud, but if it wasn't happening on 3-hour SmackDown, I don't know that it's going to happen on 2-hour SmackDown. But if you had a secondary tag feud, man, the bookers would find out, lo and behold, when the main feud is over, the championship feud is over, they find that they have top contenders waiting for them because they just won a feud on TV. But this is just not something that they seem like they want to do. I don't know that they know they have a problem, or maybe Triple H's booking is more like Vince's than we think, and he's finding out that he just doesn't care about tag teams. Hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah. All right. Jason, anything else you want to add?
That's it. Thanks, Wade.
Cool.
Thanks, Kelly.
Great.
Take care.
Thanks so much, Jason. Always great hearing from you. All right, let's go to CJ, who looks ready for us. CJ, welcome. What's in your mind about SmackDown tonight?
What do you think about? First, hi, wait, Kelly. Sorry again for your loss.
CJ? Thank you.
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
Meeting Bailey on Sunday.
Very cool. Yep.
Yes. So, what do you guys think about what they're doing with LA Knight here?
Yeah. Good topic. Kelly,
I thought
you've watched yeah, that's why you brought it up. You've followed LA Knight's journey. What do you think of how he's doing, what he's being asked to do, and also how he's executing it? I did like the thing about when the fans were barking. Tom mentioned the fix a lot tonight, but we talked on the fix about how it's up to kind of wrestlers now. This is in the mailbag to find ways to tell the crowd to stop reacting to things that make no sense and go against storylines, because fans are so into the communal experience of, get the tables. We had one more time tonight, which is just so obnoxious, when a heel is attacking a baby face. And then the fans barked, which is partly WWE's fault because Braun Breaker's been an ambiguous character, but I thought LA Knight handled it well. He's like, don't do that. And then he mocked him. He goes, you're going to jiggle out the last remaining brain cells when he shakes his head like a dog or something. I mean, I thought he handled it well, and I was like, this is good. You want babyfaces to start steering fans in the direction of reacting in a way where they don't feel like they get a ribbon as they leave the arena for chanting, this is awesome, instead of let's go blank. And we had a let's go blank chant tonight for a babyface. I can't remember who it was, at least one. It's not going to happen overnight, but people like LA Knight, who are just innately popular and charismatic, can be part of reorienting the fans to respond in a way that isn't just snarky internet social media comments or communal pro-brand, pro-star rating, pro-high-quality excitement, and get more into the moment. LA Knight isn't... There's an aspect of LA Knight that is a timeless babyface. There's nothing about him that I think you couldn't drop into world-class championship wrestling in 1985 and just have him have a couple catchphrases. He talks. He has a swagger to him, but ultimately he's likable. So I think they're doing a nice job with him. I don't think he should be a main eventer, but I think a top of the second-tier guy who mixes with main eventers I think he's doing well with it. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been following him longer than I think many realize, because I was covering him on NWA when NWA was a show worth covering, and it's definitely not now, but it was. So when people were unsure about him at first, I remember thinking, well, based on everything I'd seen on NWA, this guy can be really, really big here. And I even thought, like, why is he in NWA wrestling, studio wrestling in front of 150 people, when it really seems like he's made to be an arena crowd pleaser kind of guy. I thought the only issue that he had there when he was Eli Drake was he he would repeat himself so he would do like 10, 15 times in a row, and I was like, man, come on, there you get somebody slap his wrist when he's doing a little too much of this. And it just seemed like if they could turn him to the right volume, then it was going to work. And although it is working better than I ever thought that even it would. So that's very good. I don't know that he should be a main eventer either in this era of crowded main event people, but he could definitely visit that scene. I think he's done a really, really good job of, and he hasn't been asked to wrestle too many baby faces in long form feuds. I think that would really harm him. And maybe the fact that he hasn't is helping him, because he's just
that's a good point.
Really been able to
keep it simple sometimes.
He's been in a babyface context. He's simply fought for what's right, and he talks tough. He mocks the heels, but he also reiterates that he's a pretty good guy, who's worth cheering for, who's worth backing. I really like. It's a vague question that CJ asks here, but I think that what he's doing is really good, and he's been up for every feud that he's been given. He's given it his all when he's been in a championship context, and he's given it his all when he's in a wacky tag team match at the end of SmackDown. I just think that he's just about the ultimate crowd pleaser. And if he was younger, I would say he was definitely going to be a future world champion.
And I agree with everything you said until the end. I just don't believe everybody who's over and who people like should get their turn with the championship. I don't think LA Knight is a world title level guy on a international company like WWE. And it's not an insult. Some people are six men or the second man off the bench, and they deserve a lot of money, or they're a second or third line player in the NHL, or they're fourth line specialists. Like, I think LA Knight is a specialist, but part of what makes him work is that he's not over pushed, and he can be LA. There's not a lot to LA Knight. He's a guy who's sort of delusional, but also sort of self-aware about how delusional he is about what a big star he is as LA Knight. But he just seems to be in on the joke. I'm this big shot guy, but what he does is he takes his wit and his catchphrases and uses it against bad people who are more full of it than him, because they're unself-aware. They're trying to BS people, and LA Knight's in on it. He's cocky. He's charismatic. He seems to, but he's not. He doesn't come across to me as somebody who you want to pay to see in pay-per-view main events. And if he did, I think they would push him beyond where his strengths lie. And I think there's sustainability and longevity, even though he got the national exposure late. There's sustainability to this, in part because they're not pushing him too high or too far. And then just in general, everybody shouldn't have their turn with the belt. It should be very few people who get a run with either of the two world titles in seemingly every company right now. So Kelly, that's my only pushback. It's just I feel like we don't want to go into the gold watch territory with anybody who's popular. Kelly,
and I'm with you in that I would not choose for him to be a world champion, whether he was younger or not. I think that that he could have been booked to be one at the time. Like I think that the company's too elite for somebody like a Braun Breaker. So I definitely think it's too elite for somebody like an LA Knight. And I too would rather that it moves around a little, but very, very few guys. And yeah, LA Knight, Derek Mitchell is saying it right now in the chat. Back in the day, guys like Jake Roberts, JYD, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Big Boss Man didn't need to be WWF champion. I feel like LA Knight is in that type of group. I'm with him. These guys, people definitely wanted to see them. These guys all had their huge fans, and were an important part of the show. But you need challengers, you need an undercard, and for me, LA Knight's definitely there too.
He's like, I don't think it's perfect, but the Roddy Piper example with Kyle Fassel comes up. It like, and obviously Roddy's main event heel and all that, but he wasn't world champion. But Roddy just like, he wasn't a super talented wrestler, but he was a much more accomplished promo guy than LA Knight. And there's no dig at LA Knight. LA Knight has something that works for him, and he does it. It's like he's the restaurant you go to with a small menu. Like, it's not page after page. He just does a few things. He does it well, and people like it. Boom, there you are. But you know, you want people who fit a certain role, and you're not sitting here going, "Why isn't Roddy Piper the centerpiece world champion?" Because that's not. It would extend beyond those strengths. But I think he would be tempted to be put in that spot in some territories back in the day, and maybe in a smaller territory, you know, it would have been fine. Anyway, but I get what you're saying, Kelly, too. I want this to come across as a compliment to LA Knight, but I don't want people to frame LA Knight's career as a failure because he doesn't get a run with a world title. Like, that should not be how we judge whether someone has a successful career, any more than you judge a relief pitcher for being inferior, or even a really good middle relief inferior to a great starter who has a bunch of 20 win seasons. CJ, you like my baseball analogy instead of NBA? Oh, hold on. I muted you by mistake. You like my baseball analogy, CJ,
Yes.
instead of NBA? Yeah.
Even though, unfortunately, my team having a terrible season. Oh, my God. It's like we've been snake bit. We were one of the picks to go all the way, and the biggest Brave hater wouldn't have even guessed it to go this bad. It's just... Oh, yeah,
who's your team, CJ, for people who don't follow?
The Braves.
Yeah. It was so fun. The Twins beating the Braves before then the Braves went on to win so much.
When was your last ring? When was your last ring?
That's what I'm saying. I'm conceding that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I hear you on LA Knight. I'm like on the fence whether I see him as a world champion or like right there, like a Mr. Perfect Scott Hall back in the day.
Yeah, those are good too. Scott Hall, Mr.
So
Perfect.
I'm right on the fence, but and just the main event.
I'll use my world class. People can look this up if they're not long-time fans. Iceman King Parsons in world class championship wrestling. He was the friend of the Von Erichs. He was in the tag team division. He was wrestling at a secondary level, but he wasn't a great in-ring worker. He was charismatic, and he fit a certain role. But he should not have been the singles champion. He shouldn't have been a world champion. To me, like that's like, of all the people I've compared him to, I think that's like the best comparison in terms of somebody and where they fit in, with, relative to the main eventers. He was more than Brian Adidas. Derek Mitchell, also a historian here, pulling from history, goes Brian Adidas. No, who's Sean Spears is Brian Adidas? Maybe Kelly. I don't know. Do you go back to Brian Adidas?
I don't.
Okay. He was the Von Erich's bland friend who, if a Von Erich got hurt or no-showed, if a Von Erich was no-showed because they were too wasted to show up, Brian Adidas would fill in. He was the Steve Olsanowski of the AWA, to AWA, just kind of the bland.
I thought about busting out Ted Arcidi. If anybody remembers Ted Arcidi.
I remember Ted Arcidi.
That was very brief, but dude got to be in a Survivor Series match. Good for him.
Yep. Trying to think who in AEW right now fits. Anyway, I can go down a rabbit hole. I won't. Go ahead, CJ. I want to wrap up a little bit pretty soon here too. We got a big weekend ahead, so I don't want to go too long.
Yeah.
I hear you. It's gonna be 2 busy days for me. But anyway, it looks like they're doing some with Randy Orton and Jelly Roll, which I'm on the fence on. I love Jelly Roll's music, but I don't know if he should be teaming up with Randy Orton. And if they do that, where do you think that leaves with Randy Orton the rest of the year? Do you think eventually this year we get Cody versus Randy at some point, or maybe next year? What do you think?
Yes, there's been some comments in the chat, Kelly, about what about Randy? Like, does Randy have to turn heel, CJ, for this to work? What you and others are saying?
I don't know. I think it's just they have so much history. I think they could do a potential very good babyface match with it.
Yeah, they
What do
could.
you
And
think?
I mean, I think Randy has. We've gotten to know Randy too much. He's talking about his panic attacks on a podcast recently. He's opened up. I think if we're to get a Randy Cody feud, Kelly, I think it's going to be at the time, if Randy's healthy and still wrestling, and I think he probably will be, where Cody is the heel. I don't think we're going to get a Randy turn. I don't think people would buy it, and I think it would sabotage Cody if they tried to turn Randy heel, because fans would cheer Randy against Cody. I think they know it. I think Cody knows it, and I think they're going to wait until Cody's a heel for Randy to face him. Kelly, your thoughts?
And I think that's it's wild considering that Randy has jumped face to heel so many times in his career, and now we're saying he can't. But I feel the same way, and I was never an Orton guy, and I really have kind of become one on this run. Like this is probably my favorite run he's ever had since the heel Intercontinental Championship run in like 2004. This is probably about the most I've ever liked him. As far as this match with Jelly Roll, this is totally fine with me for like a wacky tag team encounter at a 2-night SummerSlam. I think that's fine. And I think it's fine to do stuff like that with somebody like Randy Orton when he's not going to be visiting a bigger feud. We know that this is not the last feud for Randy Orton. We know that he'll have more interesting stuff down the pipe. But for a one-off at SummerSlam, they've done so many of those. It doesn't bother me, and I know some folks do not want these celebrities in their matches, but it's existed as long as I've been watching wrestling, since the very late '80s. So I guess it just doesn't bother me.
And I, people got a taste of, and I think liked the taste they got of Cody and Randy in the Night of Champions, but this idea that I was calling for more, I get it because of their history, and they want, I think the assumed direction is Randy turning heel because he's turned so much. To do a full-fledged feud, I just think Randy as a face, Cody as a heel is actually, it might be the key way to get Cody really cemented as a heel, is to have them team up and have some sort of storyline where Cody turns on Randy in the midst of it. That could actually be weirdly, because Randy's turned so many times, but I think Randy's just locked in now as a legacy babyface, and so they're not going to do another face versus face match. I mean, they did that; it was a novelty, it was cool. But I do think people are clamoring for more because of their history. To me, it's not Randy turning heel. I think that would not work. All right, CJ. Any closing words from you other than you're excited to meet Bailey? And as everyone in the chat says, keep it cool.
Yeah, I will.
Treat her like an equal human being. You are a human. She is a human. You are both of equal stature. You are a star on this show. She is a star on WWE. And just tell her you respect and appreciate her work.
Oh, yeah. I loved her since her Hugger days. And let me know if you want me calling and give you live recaps.
Yes, if we're doing, I'll email you once we kind of figure it out. As you can tell from listening earlier, we're still kind of working out the schedule on the weekend. There's a lot of moving parts.
All right. It was great seeing you, Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, you too, CJ.
Yes.
Thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Take care.
Have a good.
Awesome. All right. Kelly, anything else from SmackDown in particular you want to talk about before I also get a little bit of NXT talk in with you with the Great American Bash tomorrow?
I don't know. Do I have to mention how dopey of a name Tala Tonga is? Do I have? Is that just implied? Like everybody just gets that?
Yeah. I love someone goes, is that because I love someone said, is that because he's tall?
Yeah. I think that played into it.
Yeah.
As Hikuleo, really the only thing cool about him was his name, Hikuleo. He certainly was not like a standout wrestler in New Japan. So for him to be Tala Tonga, whatever, there's use for him, but seeing a lot of matches of his is not it. And I have seen a lot a lot of his matches as somebody who watches.
So
every
elaborate a little. We get the gist here, Kelly, but elaborate like a little more on what you're saying about him.
All right, so Hikuleo, he's another one of the Sons of Haku. People probably know that, but he looks star-ish. He's very tall, but he's a little bit lean for somebody so tall, so he doesn't look as imposing as he could, obviously. But for me, the biggest issue is that he's a big guy who looks like he wants to wrestle like a small guy. He doesn't do enough of he kind of reminds me of that original Drew McIntyre run where every time Drew McIntyre came out, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that guy's so big. And I keep forgetting that he's so big because he didn't wrestle like an overwhelming big dude. And he left and he came back and he knew how to do it. But for all I know, they could have been working with him a lot back behind the scenes and making sure that he gets better because he's been pretty protected to this point. But they liked him enough to move him to the quarterfinals of the G1 Climax a few years ago. And he lost as soon as he got into the knockout round. I think he lost to Tanahashi. No, I don't think that's right. Naito. I think it was Tetsuya Naito. But yes, he was not like, he was never getting main event slots because you knew what you were going to get with him, and there was a hard cap on how good his matches were going to be.
Would you have been better if they just pronounced his real name a little closer to Tonga and didn't do the two L's where tall is built into it? Like, I'm like, I get making fun of it because he's the tall guy, but they could have just I mean, I don't know why they didn't just spell it the real way and have it sort of sound good anyway. I don't know. It feels a little
that would have been much better. This feels a lot like not just old school wrestling, but this almost goes back to like Otto Octavius being the real name of Dr. Octopus, like just the cheeky stuff they did in like the 40s and 50s, 60s comics. It's a little one-dimensional for wrestling. Right. I know, but I mean, still.
All right, NXT Great American Bash tomorrow. The evil villain and the heroes and villains story of AEW versus NXT going head-to-head with All In. How do you think they did as the what has turned out to be the head-to-head show with All In? I think when they booked this, they thought Sunday night's main event would be head-to-head. But yeah, what stands out here? How are you feeling about Ethan Page and Ricky Saints or Oba Femi's defense? Or go ahead with your thoughts.
It's a weird show. It doesn't on paper have anything that has obvious show stealing potential. I guess maybe let me look at the card again, but it just seems like it doesn't feel like NXT 2.0. It doesn't feel like NXT Black and Gold. It really feels like its own thing. And a lot of times with these, it's just been like, okay, this is going to be a work rate show. This feels like a lot like Black and Gold. It just feels like very much it's just a strange collection of matches. I wouldn't have thought Yoshiki Inamura was going to be the main challenger for Oba Femi. And when somebody like Femi wins the championship, you're going to have a long reign, and you're going to make sure that you have a lot of different challengers lined up. That's why they heated up Miles Bourne. And I think that's why they're heating up Yoshiki Inamura. I will say this. They have laid it on really thick with Inamura with video packages, with having important like Great Muta was on the show this week. Not live, but talking about how great Inamura is and how he really has a chance in this match. He and Io Sky and a couple other Noah wrestlers, one of which recently was in the G1 Climax in New Japan because New Japan and Noah were doing things together. So that is a strange one on paper, but I think it'll be good. Then we've got the tag team match with Blake Monroe. Is that on this or is that on
Jordan Grace against Fatal Influence? Yep.
Yep. I think that is probably a chance for Monroe to turn heel. It's a chance for that. I don't actually think that is going to be what they pull the trigger on. I think that Monroe is going to stay babyface, and that is partially just because um, of the schedule. I think that that's a lot to do storyline wise heading into a match where JC Jane is going to be challenged by Jordan Grace, but I guess that could add a wrinkle to it. So there's one. I was going to pull up the card just because it's such a strange card. I can't
pull it up.
remember all the stuff that is on it. Great. Sorry. Good podcasting.
I'll insert elevator music
on
here.
the cards. Yeah, so then we've got Sol Ruka versus Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame is somebody that they're really starting to like quite a bit more. She's not without her occasional missteps in the ring, but I think that she's really found herself in this heel role. She's in a group called The Calling, led by Sean Spears, which I know, but she has really shined since being added to that. Paige and Saints. Sorry. Paige and Saints, I think that could be a lot of fun at Falls Count Anywhere. They've done a good job with that feud. I was surprised they pulled the championship off of Saints, but they're doing what they're doing. Jasper Troy, they've just had him come in and be big, so that's strange. but the match with Javon Evans should be a lot of fun. Get a lot of movement for him.
Kelly is losing his voice near the 2-hour mark here, Kelly. And then getting an allergy attack. We are hoping Kelly makes it to the closing remarks here. There we go again. You got your water near you, Kelly?
Yes. I thought I was doing fine.
Suddenly something has happened.
Yeah, then somebody said Jasper Troy sounds like a name from a Nicolas Cage movie. Thank you, Derek Mitchell. I was fine, and I was like, oh my God, it does.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yes.
All right, well, we're good.
Yeah,
go.
Right.
No, we're good. It's the Evolution show has a little bit of an NXT presence also, of course, with the NXT Women's title. JC Jane and Jordan Grace. Any quick thoughts on that? And then we will sign off, Kelly.
JC Jane is not championship material, but whatever. They're trying something with her, and I love that. They realized they wanted to transition because Stephanie Vaquera was ready. There was no reason to hold her back if they had something for her to do. So that's cool. So by all means, transition to somebody weird and then see what happens, see if something sticks. And they went with JC, and I still don't know that she has it for sure, but they've been really good at making her look like a star. She's tried to, they've given her lines that on paper make her more of a star. I don't know that she is, but I love that they're really trying this with her, and they're really committed to giving everybody a fair shot before they're giving them a chance to sink or swim rather than dropping them by the wayside, and we never see any of that. It's kind of what I watch NXT for. So, and if this, I don't know that Jordan is winning this, because I think Jordan's got one big foot in the main roster. And I still think that Blake Monroe is the next champion. And not Jordan Grace.
I get that.
So, and Jordan doesn't need this. She's going to be fine on the main roster, whether she's an NXT champion or not. So I actually think that JC snakes out of this with the championship one way or another. And maybe she'll grow on me.
Sean Plichta with a super chat says Dark State needs to go away. Go VIP.
I mean, they're mostly away now. They're barely on the show. I forget about them. So, I mean, they kind of are away. They haven't they've only had like 3 tag matches. 3 of the 4 are pretty decent on the mic. And all 4 are good in the ring. It's just not, it's not a good angle. It's not a good faction.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Kelly, thanks so much. This has been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to having another asthma attack at the end of the show next time we do this. Yeah, I don't think that was it.
You know what? You were a superhero for the first hour, 50 minutes, and then you became human. You were like Charlotte. You're being humanized right in front of everyone.
There you go.
Yeah,
a baby face turn at long last.
You become relatable finally. You were just too perfect.
Well, I've always thought so. It's nice that someone else actually picked up on it.
Yes, exactly. All right, very good. Thanks, Sean, for the super chat. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Spread the word, like this show, comment below, and of course, subscribe. Even better than subscribing to us on YouTube is giving us a 5-star rating in the podcast app. And the next step up is VIP membership. PWTorch.com/GoVIP. So many great podcasts. Advertisement free. The commercial breaks are edited out of the free shows, and our VIP shows do not have commercials or ads or anything like that. So nice streamlined listening experience. Full VIP membership, by the way, includes a customizable podcast feed compatible with Apple Podcasts and just about any other podcast app on iOS or Android, or you can just stream them directly from our ad-free VIP website, which is desktop and mobile friendly, of course, and access to archives going back to the late 1980s. Check out full details, pwtorch.com/govip. Also, you can go through your Apple account using the Apple Podcast app to get our VIP shows, or Patreon or Spotify. Full details at pwtorch.com/govip. Check out Brandon tomorrow hosting the All In Post Show right here on the PW Torch YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody.